Ladies, come closer for a moment. If a man is ignoring you right now, I want you to hear every word I'm about to say as if I'm warning you about something that hasn't happened yet, but will. Because the truth is, and I say this with genuine care, you are probably doing the exact thing that pushes him to ignore you even more without even realizing it. And before you shake your head and tell me, but he's different, he's not like other guys, let me stop you right there. No, he's not different. He's a man. Men come in two standard versions. Version A, the clueless goofball who walks through life happily unaware of half the things happening around him. And version B, the same clueless goofball but with Wi-Fi and online access, which honestly just gives him more creative ways to be clueless. So if he's ignoring your messages, delaying his replies, acting oddly cold, responding dry, or giving you the classic, "Oh, sorry, I forgot to text back" excuse, then congratulations. You are about to poke his ego in one of the places men absolutely hate being touched. And trust me, when that ego gets even the slightest tap, it reacts faster than his fingers do when he sees a notification about food discounts. Picture this because I know you've lived this moment. You send him a sweet, caring message. Something simple like, "Hey, how's your day going?" What does he do? He opens it, he reads it, he takes a deep breath, and then he continues living his entire life before deciding you deserve a reply, tomorrow, or the next day, or whenever his ego finally decides it's convenient. But watch that same man get a notification about something that benefits him directly. Maybe his favorite game update, a message from his friends about a match, or a half-price burger deal. Suddenly, he becomes a world-class Olympic athlete with how quickly he unlocks his phone. So let's be clear, no, he's not too busy. Men reply instantly to anything that feeds their interests. Food, football, games, memes, or anything slightly entertaining. But you become a "let me reply later" situation. And not because you're not wonderful, not because you're not attractive, not because some other woman replaced you. He slows down with you for one simple reason. Somewhere inside his ego, he genuinely believes he can. And that right there is the part we are going to hit. Not aggressively, not physically. Calm down, but psychologically, strategically, and elegantly. We're going to shift something inside him so subtly and so powerfully that even he won't understand why he suddenly feels you slipping away. Let's talk about why he's really ignoring you. The ego equation. Let me give you a truth that many men don't want women hearing. A man ignores a woman only when he secretly believes she isn't going anywhere. Read that again slowly. When a man thinks you're emotionally invested, predictable, consistent, or too available, his ego goes into a relaxed vacation mode. He convinces himself that he can take his time because you'll still be there, waiting like a loyal little bookmark in his story. Men do not ignore women they are afraid of losing. Men ignore women they think they already have in their pocket. They treat you like the remote control, something they hold on to even when they aren't using it, simply because they know it's theirs. And they like the feeling of holding on to things that make them feel in control. So when he's ignoring you, here's the real conversation happening inside his brain. She likes me. She's not leaving. I can respond later. She'll understand. She'll wait. She'll adjust. She's mine already. I've got this. In his mind, you are emotionally pre-booked like a seat he thinks no one else will ever try to claim. And that illusion gives his ego the biggest comfort zone ever. That comfort zone becomes a warm blanket he wraps himself in while he takes his sweet time responding. But don't worry, we are not staying here. We are about to set that comfort zone on fire, not because you want revenge, but because you deserve actual respect, attention, and effort, not leftovers. Men act like they don't feel anything. They pretend they are made of steel, that nothing scares them, nothing shakes them, nothing touches them. They walk around acting like emotional superheroes who are immune to fear, jealousy, or insecurity. But here's the twist. Men may pretend to be emotionally bulletproof, but inside, their ego is the softest, most sensitive piece of them. It bruises easily, it gets confused fast, it panics the moment it senses it is losing what it thought was guaranteed. A man will act like he doesn't care until he realizes he is no longer the center of your attention. He will act unbothered until the one thing he took for granted suddenly becomes uncertain. And that moment, when he feels even a tiny shift in your energy, is when his entire attitude changes. His ego starts whispering, "Wait, what's happening? Why isn't she chasing me? Why didn't she double text? Why isn't she asking if I'm okay? Who is she talking to now? Why does something feel different?" His brain goes into a quiet panic, and that panic is exactly what brings his attention back to you. Because the truth is simple. Men don't fear losing a woman who chases them. They fear losing a woman who could replace them. They fear losing a woman who values herself enough to not wait around. They fear losing a woman who is no longer predictable. When you shift your energy, even a little, even softly, his ego feels it like a sudden cold wind. And suddenly, the man who could reply tomorrow feels the urge to respond today. The man who ignored your sweet message becomes the man checking his phone, trying to see if you posted something new. The man who took you for granted becomes the man wondering if someone else is enjoying the attention he wasted. He pretended to be strong, but his ego is fragile. He acted like he didn't care, but losing your attention makes him react faster than anything else. And once that ego wakes up, it doesn't go back to sleep easily. It starts pushing him to act, to chase, to pay attention. Because men only ignore what they think is permanent. But the moment something feels uncertain, rare, or no longer guaranteed, the entire game changes. But listen carefully, because this part matters more than anything you've heard so far. Men have 3 ego weak spots, and these are the exact buttons that shake them even when they pretend nothing affects them. Weak spot number 1 is the fear of being replaceable. Men cannot stand the idea of feeling like workers in a huge company where anyone can take their place at any moment. They act calm, they act relaxed, they act unbothered, but the moment a man senses that a woman might have options besides him, his brain turns from a peaceful documentary into a full-blown Netflix thriller. Suddenly he becomes alert, he becomes aware, and he starts paying attention to details he ignored before. Weak spot number 2 is the fear of losing influence over you. Men love feeling like their presence matters to you. They enjoy believing that their absence changes your mood, that your attention flows toward them naturally, that your day shifts depending on how they act. When a man realizes his presence doesn't define your emotions and his silence no longer affects you, he feels it like a punch straight to his pride. It hits him deeper than you can imagine because influence gives him a sense of importance. Losing that influence feels like losing a part of his identity. Weak spot number 3 is the terror that you're slowly slipping away emotionally. A man can handle arguments, he can handle anger, he can even handle loud drama, but the one thing he cannot deal with is the quiet kind of moving on. The kind where you don't fight, you don't explain, you don't write long paragraphs trying to make him understand. No, you just shift your energy and float away peacefully. Nothing destroys a man's ego quite like your silence mixed with soft, effortless confidence. It makes him question everything he thought he knew. But before you even think about hitting his ego, you have to stop doing the things that feed it. Because let's be honest here, women accidentally boost a man's ego more than his own mother ever did. And most of the time, you don't even realize you're doing it. If he's ignoring you right now, these are the 3 ego-inflating mistakes you're probably making without meaning to. Mistake 1, texting again just to check in. Don't do this. He saw the first message. He didn't disappear into the forest. He's not missing. He didn't lose his eyesight overnight. He just chose not to reply yet. Sending another message only tells his ego, "See, she's still here, no urgency." Mistake 2, posting those "I'm totally unbothered" stories. You know exactly which ones I'm talking about. Quotes like, "I choose myself" or "protect your peace." Girl, the moment you post those, he knows you're choosing him in secret. Men can smell emotional confusion, like sharks smell blood. Those posts don't confuse him. They comfort him. They tell him you're still affected. Mistake 3, giving him the same attention and energy even when he lowers his. When his effort drops and you still give him 100%, his ego celebrates. He thinks, "Perfect. I don't even have to try anymore." Stop giving a man premium, VIP treatment when he's giving you bare minimum free trial effort. You are not a subscription he pays once a year for. You are a whole experience, and he should act like it. Now, let's talk about the psychological switch that actually makes men panic. And please listen closely, because this is the part that shifts the entire dynamic. Men do not panic when you pull away loudly. They panic when you pull away quietly. When you say things like, "I'm done, I'm leaving, I'm not texting anymore," he doesn't panic at all. Why? Because men are convinced that women talk more than they act. He hears those sentences and thinks, "She'll be back, she's emotional, she'll cool down." But when you don't say anything, when you simply respond slower, become a little colder, stop initiating conversations, stop asking how he's doing, stop explaining yourself, stop chasing, stop reacting to small things, and become unpredictable, that's when something shifts. His ego wakes up like a fire alarm going off at 3 a.m. Men fear your silence more than your anger. They fear your calm distance more than your tears. And they fear your indifference far more than your rejection. Because silence means, "I'm slipping away and there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it." Nothing hits his ego harder than realizing he no longer has emotional access to you. Nothing shakes him more than sensing you're becoming unreachable. And nothing brings him down to reality faster than the feeling that someone else might be getting the version of you he took for granted. So now, let's hit his ego exactly where it hurts. Not out of revenge, but to remind him that you are not something he can ignore and keep. You are someone he has to show up for. Ladies, this is the fun part. Welcome to the moment where you get to sit back, relax, and watch his ego shrink into a tiny emotional ball, trying to figure out what just happened. You won't need drama. You won't need long speeches. You won't need to beg or explain. Just a shift in your energy, a calm silence, and a little distance will do all the work for you. And trust me, he will feel every single second of it. These strategies are not toxic, and they're not manipulative. They're simply ways to bring balance back into a situation where a man has gotten a little too relaxed, too confident, and a bit too sure that he can behave however he wants without consequences. You're not punishing him. You're reminding him that you are a human being with options, value, and a life that doesn't revolve around his replies or mood swings. Ego attack 1 is what I call the "oh, I didn't even notice" energy. Men have a giant ego craving that most of them don't even hide. They want to feel seen, admired, and noticed. Their entire sense of self-importance is secretly built around being someone people pay attention to. So when you shift your energy into a place where you seem genuinely unbothered, as if his silence didn't move the needle even a little, he feels that shock in his chest. This kind of energy says, "You were ignoring me. Oh, that must have been happening while I was busy being adored by the rest of the universe." And men feel that deeply because it taps into the one fear they hide, the fear of not mattering. How do you do this correctly? You take your time to reply, not in a petty way, but in a natural, busy, peaceful way. Your responses stay short yet warm, calm but not cold. You don't bring up the delay. You don't act hurt. You don't reward his behavior with emotional paragraphs explaining how his silence made you feel. You don't give him the satisfaction of knowing he triggered you. What you are silently telling him is, "Your absence didn't change my world. My oxygen supply remained stable." And trust me, nothing bruises a man's ego quite like realizing he didn't even leave a fingerprint when he was trying to leave a dent. Ego attack 2 is the quiet glow up. Not the loud, dramatic kind. Not the selfie with the caption "growing and glowing" or "healing era." Please avoid that. The moment you do that, he knows it's about him. He'll sit there smirking because he thinks he still inspires your energy. Instead, do a real glow up in silence. Upgrade your vibe, clean your space, refresh your mood, fix your posture, improve your style, focus on your goals, reconnect with your life. And then, casually, effortlessly, post something that shows you living beautifully without even trying to impress anyone. You laughing at brunch, you focused at the gym, you hanging out with friends, you looking like the softest and strongest version of yourself. No quotes, no hidden messages, no hints, just pure, effortless happiness. A quiet glow up hits harder than any dramatic post because it says, "I'm okay. Actually, I'm a bit too okay." And that alone sends his ego into confusion. He starts thinking, wait, she's not crying about me. She's not posting about sadness. She moved on to looking this good without me in the picture. That confusion, that disbelief, that's the sound of his ego cracking right down the middle. Ego attack 3 is the minimal effort mirror. And listen, this is a psychological trick that works on men every single time. You don't copy his attitude, you copy his effort. There's a difference. If he replies in 5 hours, you reply in 6. Not as revenge, but as balance. If he sends dry, short texts, you send shorter ones. If he stops initiating conversations, you stop doing it too. If he stops asking questions, you stop offering answers. You simply reflect his energy back to him. Men don't regret losing a woman who constantly chases them. They regret losing the woman who met their effort, matched their pace, and then quietly walked away without noise. Why does this technique work so well? Because it forces him to face the one thought men absolutely cannot stand. She's not trying anymore. And that leads to the next question. If she's not trying for me, then who is she trying for? That's when panic hits. Because suddenly, the story in his head where you were always available begins to collapse. Ego attack 4 is the "I'm suddenly happy" switch. This one is subtle but powerful. When a man ignores you and you respond with sadness, irritation, long explanations, emotional reactions, he thinks, "Good, I still matter. She still feels something for me." Your sadness feeds his ego. Your frustration tells him he still has influence. But when he ignores you and you respond with calm cheerfulness, with light-hearted energy, with peace instead of panic, now his ego starts to malfunction. Suddenly he's confused. Why isn't she upset? Why isn't she reacting? Why is she happy? What did I miss? Men expect drama when they pull away. They expect emotional storms. They expect signs that you're hurting. But when you replace all of that with warmth, joy, and steadiness, it shakes him, because your emotional stability tells him something he didn't expect. Your happiness doesn't depend on him anymore. And that, more than anything, hits a man at the core of his ego. When you respond with sunshine instead of storms, he realizes he lost something much bigger than he thought. Not your message, not your attention, but your emotional attachment. And once a man senses he no longer controls your emotional weather, his ego starts to crumble in ways he will never admit out loud. Ego attack 5 is the "Oh, sorry, I'm busy" line. Use it carefully, like a perfume you spray only once, but the scent lingers in the room long after you leave. When he finally decides to text you something simple like, "What are you doing?" you don't jump, you don't melt, and you don't open a TED Talk. You just say something effortless like, "Oh hey, just stepping out, I'll talk later," or Can't chat right now. Busy. And that's it. No explanation. No guilt. No long paragraphs. Just busy. Not moody busy. Not fake dramatic busy. Just real life, peaceful, normal, living your life busy. Men absolutely crumble when the roles flip and they feel like they are the ones waiting for your attention. In his mind, that tiny moment is an earthquake. It shakes the dynamic and gives his ego an instant, sharp hit. Now let's talk about the psychological reversal that makes him chase you without you lifting a finger. Here is the real magic behind everything you've been doing. Men do not ignore women because they have zero interest. They ignore women because they believe they're the ones holding the emotional remote control. They think they have the power, the pace, and the advantage. He assumes he has your attention whenever he wants it. He assumes he gets to choose when things speed up, when things slow down, and when things pause altogether. As long as he believes he has that control, he stays too comfortable. But the moment your energy changes, when you become unpredictable in a peaceful way, when you stay warm but distant, kind but unavailable, calm but not overly involved, now the fear kicks in. Men chase women who are present but not dependent, affectionate but not attached, sweet but not waiting around. This exact combination hits every sensitive nerve in the male ego. Your calm detachment activates his need to win. Your emotional balance activates his desire to be chosen. Your lack of reaction activates his fear of being replaced. And suddenly, without warning, his internal dialogue shifts from, "She likes me," to, "Wait, does she still like me?" to, "Oh no, she might actually slip away." And then, "I need to act now before someone else gets her." That moment, right there, is the famous male wake-up moment. The internal alarm bell he pretends he doesn't have starts ringing loud enough to shake his confidence. And that's when he starts chasing. Not because you begged, not because you complained, but because your energy forced him to feel the emotional gap he created. But listen carefully. When his ego is hurting and he comes back, and he will come back, you must avoid the classic mistakes that ruin everything. Do not destroy the progress by digging up the past or asking why he ignored you. Don't give him a lecture. Don't attack him, punish him, or respond with sarcasm. Don't make dramatic comments. Don't create emotional scenes, and don't try to school him on how to behave. You don't need revenge or a victory speech. You don't need to prove a point. That's what average women do when they finally get the upper hand. Your power is different. Your power is in being the woman he didn't expect. The woman who doesn't nag, doesn't explode, doesn't beg, doesn't fall apart, and doesn't lose her center. When he returns with effort, you remain warm. You stay gentle. You stay confident. You stay feminine, steady, and collected. You keep your boundaries as gracefully as a queen who knows her worth. You keep your standards without needing to yell about them. And this is how he learns the truth. He learns, I can't play with her emotions. She doesn't run on validation. She doesn't chase after crumbs. If I want her, I have to show up properly. And that right there is what makes his ego shrink enough for his respect to grow. His comfort fades, his interest spikes, his effort increases, and finally, he starts treating you the way he should have treated you from day one. Let me finish with something powerful. A man is never afraid of losing a woman who needs him. He only becomes afraid of losing the woman who chooses him. When he ignores you, he believes he is controlling the emotional distance. But the moment you control that distance, the entire narrative flips. Suddenly, your silence is louder than any message you could send him. Your calmness becomes more attractive than any affection you used to give. Your confidence becomes stronger than the feelings you once handed him too easily. And your lack of reaction, that becomes the heaviest hit his ego has ever taken. So if he's ignoring you right now, don't panic. Don't start chasing. Don't rewrite your worth in your mind. Don't overthink every tiny detail. Just shift your energy the way you've learned. And watch, because the male ego always does the same three things. It breaks, it wakes up, and then it starts chasing the woman who finally remembered her power and refused to shrink herself for him ever again. Let me end with this, and let it really sink in. A man is not afraid of losing a woman who needs him. He is afraid of losing a woman who chooses him. When he ignores you, he thinks he is controlling the emotional distance. He believes he has the power to pull away, come back, disappear, return, and you will still be there waiting with open arms. He assumes that his silence is stronger than your self-respect. But the moment you decide to control the emotional distance, the entire dynamic flips in a way he never saw coming. Suddenly, your silence becomes louder than any attention he ever gave you. Your calmness becomes more attractive than all the affection you used to show him. Your confidence becomes more powerful than the feelings you once poured into him. And your lack of reaction, simple, quiet, clean, becomes the biggest hit to his ego he has ever felt. It's the moment he realizes, she is not tied to me. She is not waiting for me. She is not dependent on me. She can walk away and I might actually lose her. That realization shakes him more than any argument, any emotional speech, any confrontation ever could. Because men are not scared of a woman who cries, complains, begs, or over-explains. They are scared of a woman who stops trying, a woman who becomes peaceful instead of dramatic, a woman whose world continues moving with or without them, a woman who doesn't try to prove her worth but simply lives it. So if he's ignoring you, don't panic. Don't chase. Don't overthink or spiral into fear. Don't try to convince him of your value. Just shift your energy back into yourself. Put your focus on your life, your goals, your joy, your peace. Let him feel the space you create. Let him feel what it's like when you're not immediately available. Let him see that you can match his distance in a way that is calm, not cold, detached, not angry, confident, not defensive. Because when a woman stops reacting, a man starts reflecting. And when he realizes he no longer has emotional control, that's when the male ego does what it always does. It cracks, it wakes up, and then it starts chasing. Chasing the woman who refuses to play small. Chasing the woman who respects herself. Chasing the woman who shows him without a single word that she is not afraid to be alone, but he is very afraid to lose her. That is the power you hold. And that is why the moment you stop fighting for his attention is the moment he starts fighting for yours.